we went from nothing to with no sweets, sold a couple of branded things to kind of make some money and fund that expansion. And then next thing you know, we've now sold, I think, somewhere over 6 million bags of sweets.
Amazing.
When we first started, we had to make 50,000 units per flavour.
Yeah.
And we were like, shit.
That's a lot.
50,000 bags of sweets. I know 5 people.
Yeah.
That's like, how...
I always had this dream as a kid that I wanted a world made of sweets. We honestly created a ghost. We created the brand name Candy Kittens, and we just literally had nothing.
When we started out, Jamie had this idea for the coolest sweet shop in the world. So we said, okay, well, what does the coolest sweet shop look like? Well, it'd have to sell cool sweets. And then we realised, actually, there are no cool sweets. Then we realised we didn't know how to make sweets.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are off to see Jamie Laing Ed Williams of Candy Kittens. I'm already running a bit late, so I need to get all the gear together, get on the train and get going. See you in a bit. Here in London, trying to find the Candy Kittens HQ. I think it's around here somewhere. It's raining, getting a bit wet. I think it's up there somewhere. Let's go see if we can find him. I think we found the place. Okay, we're here, about to go into the office. Let's go.
Here they are.
Chris, how are you, buddy?
Good.
These are delicious.
You got to try them.
Come to the office, come check it out.
Okay guys, we're here with Jamie and Ed of Candy Kittens, and what we're going to be doing today is diving into who is Candy Kittens, what their marketing tips are, and all kinds of business tips for you guys. So, let's dive in. Start off by giving us a kind of a 60-second intro to who Candy Kittens are, why it started. Just give us the quick background to it.
Do you want to do 30 seconds?
I'll do 30 seconds, you do 30 seconds.
Okay, well, you go.
We'll see how this goes.
Cool. So we started Candy Kittens to make sweets that targeted fashionable, young, modern consumers. So as far as we could see it, there were sweets for kids, sweets for your grandma, and nothing in between. So we're hitting that niche with gourmet confectionery. 30 seconds, I think that was about 25.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
That was pretty much it.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
So that's the when someone important, like you're going after an investor, they ask you what you do. That's that kind of, this is who we are and this is what we do. Now give us the completely casual, completely styled out, who is Candy Kittens?
I suppose, well, if you start from the beginning, Candy Kittens was, it started with Ed and I because we had a huge love for sweets.
Right.
We love sweets more than anything in the entire world, especially myself. I always had this dream as a kid that I wanted a world made of sweets.
Nice.
But sweets that didn't damage your teeth. And that's where it began, and we kind of, Ed and I met about 6-7 years ago, and Ed said what we should do is we should make packets of sweets instead of making this huge sweet shop, which I had this whole vision of doing. So we scaled it down, made packets of sweets, and Ed had this, because he came from a design background, completely changed the kind of conception of what sweets were normally seen as. You know, when you had sweets as a kid, you'd be driving in your car and you'd have those tin sweets, travel sweets, or you'd have them in jars, you'd have them, they're very boring, that, as Ed said, they were aimed at kids, and we wanted to make them way more exciting, way more cool, way more sexy, aimed at all ages, because everyone eats sweets, and especially older age groups eat sweets because they can actually afford them. Kids have to get their parents to buy them. Kids, parents don't always want to buy kids their sweets the whole time, but as adults, I eat sweets the whole time, indulge in them. And so that's what we did, and we've been doing it now for 6 years.
Coming into our 6th year.
Coming into our 6th year, we've been probably trading confectionery for about 4.5 years, and we are just launching at the moment our, what we like to think is our ultimate sweet that we've been doing. It takes a long time to understand the kind of sweet world. Firstly, sweet, interesting enough, sweets are made by the age of the starch. That's the quality of sweet, which nobody knows. It's actually a really complicated formula to make a great sweet. It's not easy to do them. But we're launching our sweet at the moment, which is vegan, apart from one is vegetarian, but they're all sort of no beef gelatin in them. They are made with real fruit juices, with a bit of coconut water, and every single one of the sweets has, if it's a watermelon, they have watermelon flavour, watermelon juice in it, and those kind of things. And so they're the ultimate kind of sweet you can possibly do. We think the sort of Bugatti of sweets, which we're really excited about.
Nice.
They're
So
very good.
I want to go back to something on there, because, and I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but what you just said was you had that big vision of sweet store, big shop. Ed comes in and goes, hang on a minute, that might not be the best place to start. And then you said, we've been in business for, what did you say, 6, 7 years? But you've been selling confectionery for how long?
4.5.
so, and this is where I think loads of people go, if I'm going to start a business, it's got to be, like, for me coming out of the fitness industry, like, people go, if I'm going to start a business, it's got to be a studio, I've got to start there, otherwise it's completely pointless. But, like, you guys didn't do that. You didn't start with this massive sweet store. So talk to us about how you were a sweet business, not selling sweets, and then how you grew it and how that kind of progressed. Just give us that little background.
I think the most important thing with any business is customers. So without the customers, you haven't got a business.
Very true.
So for us, it was about how do we get these customers to start talking about Candy Kittens and kind of just engaging with us in any way we could. So when we started out, Jamie had this idea for the coolest sweet shop in the world. So we said, okay, well, what does the coolest sweet shop look like? Well, it'd have to sell cool sweets. And then we realised, actually, there are no cool sweets. So maybe that's an opportunity to start. Then we realised we didn't know how to make sweets.
Nice, yeah, solid.
So we thought, okay, well, we've got to start somewhere. So we started to look into it, spoke to a few factories, and realised it was going to take us about 18 months, 2 years to try and work out how to do it and get some products to market.
Okay.
In the meantime, we started building a bit of a social media presence, getting the Candy Kittens brand out there as much as we possibly could.
For sure.
Launched a website and just sold things that had Candy Kittens on. So we were selling t-shirts, pencil cases, notebooks, pens, anything that kind of carried the brand message and got people excited. So the whole point at the start was kind of to join this exclusive club, if you like. You know, you were part of the Candy Kitten story, and we'd give people regular, daily, weekly updates on how the sweets were coming along, and kept promising that we were going to be a sweets company one day.
Amazing.
And then eventually it kind of all fell into place, and we had this pre-made audience that were kind of desperate to try the sweets. So as soon as they came out, people were queuing up and they started flying off the shelves.
And I think that's what's interesting about a brand. Like, you know, obviously from sort of our side, I suppose the lucky thing that, not lucky, but sort of the sort of conscious decision I made was to join a television show, you know, made in Chelsea, and I did it for lots of reasons. One of the reasons was because Ed and I had started this company, and I saw that as an opportunity to market it in a different way, and
100%.
Which was a, you know,
smart,
which was super smart. And I think, you know, lots of people go, well, that was, you know, you're lucky you had that, but there are loads of opportunities out there that people can do in terms of marketing and branding and those kind of things. It's just about when you see this opportunity, you know, striking while the iron's hot and going for it. I saw this amazing quote from Winston Churchill, who he said, it said something
Fighting
like
on the beaches.
Or fighting on the beaches, fighting in the gardens. But it was more. He said that people, you walk down the street. If something like you walk down the street. I'm going to get it past my phone quickly. I have it on my phone, the other one.
Before you absolutely butcher.
Yeah, before I butchered Winston Churchill's quote. But it's just really interesting. It's so true, and this can relate in so many times. It's kind of branding and marketing and all these kind of things. Here it is. Got it here. The quote is: "Man will occasionally stumble over the truth, but usually manages to pick himself up, walk over or around it, and carry on." It's so true, and this is in terms of marketing and branding and all these kind of opportunities. Lots of people have an opportunity right in front of them, but they don't see it as opportunity and they walk around it.
Yeah, 100%.
And with Made in Chelsea, it was a huge risk. And it's lots of people can see it as a negative or a positive risk. We definitely saw it as a positive risk, and we took the opportunity and went and did it. And we had created this brand, Candy Kittens, and as I said, we didn't have the sweets to it, but we had the brand name out there. So we were doing anything to keep this brand name in our customers' eyes and ears, and just always around the place. And that wasn't selling sweets; that was selling merchandise and doing pop-up stores with different things, coming to meet myself and Ed and all those kind of things. It's just about keeping it in the forefront of your mind the entire time.
Yeah, really building a brand.
Really building a brand, exactly.
Really powerful, and I think there's so many lessons in there, and I want to make sure that people really kind of pick up on them. Like, again, you're saying, you know, yes, you had the, what do we call this? Like the official, the old school media of TV, right? And I'm saying old school as in the fact that, you know, yes, you're on a TV show, they're putting it out to millions of people every week, right? Great, but we have freaking cameras now, people going onto YouTube and building audiences of millions and millions of people just by speaking to a camera. Like, there's the opportunity is there. Like, anyone can create their own reality, quote unquote, reality TV show and start putting themselves out there and start building a brand. You don't necessarily need the official, I need to be on a TV show to build that audience, right?
Yeah.
No, completely true, and that's the great thing. A lot of people have stigma against the current sort of situation in terms of content, because YouTube is, they say, taking money away from advertisers for television and stuff like that. But at the same time, it gives you guys this massive opportunity to sit there with a camera and actually start your own business or put your brand out there.
100%.
Without having to spend a penny, pretty much.
100%.
Buy a camera, and then you can spread awareness of your brand so easily without spending thousands, 100,000, some cases millions to put it on television.
Yep.
So it's a really great platform to use.
Yeah, 100%. So the Candy Kittens got started before the TV show. TV show as an element of, right, we're going to use this as a platform and help build the brand, which is just smart. That's brilliant. You're now at the point where Candy Kittens is, as you said, you're releasing that and those new products, you're taking it to that next level. But what, apart from just the, building the brand with the TV show, you mentioned pop-up shops and things like that, what other things have you done to really kind of engage your audience, build the brand and sell more sweets?
Loads of things. I guess the big thing for us is getting people to try the product for the first time.
Yeah.
So if you want to get someone to buy anything, food or drink, then they need to taste it and like it and go, yeah, I want to buy that. So for us, getting people to try it is the key. So we do loads and loads of events, lots of sampling. We're running something at the moment called Blue Mondays. So Monday, statistically the most depressing day of the week. So we go around giving everybody our blueberry sweets. So we do it at tube stations, calling to people's offices unannounced.
Great.
All over, just kind of trying to perk people up and give happiness, I guess, and bring a smile to people's faces. So that positive association. We also link up with things like London Fashion Week.
Yeah.
But actually, all of these things we're doing on a real shoestring budget. Yeah. So it sounds really grand and amazing to say we link up with London Fashion Week. But really what I mean by that is London Fashion Week's on.
Yes.
And we've got people walking around the streets
Yeah.
dressed up in our Candy Kittens uniform, giving out sweets to the people that are going into the shows and going into all of the official venues.
100%.
So actually it's about what you can do with what you have available, I guess.
Yeah, it's tying in with current events.
Yeah, completely. But also what is, and this is down to Ed, who is a kind of, I'd say that's from Ed's sort of,
Not coming in here, you're right.
that's what Ed's design background, where he's a stickler for kind of the little detail. And I think what is so important is when you start a brand or you're starting whatever, is to do every single thing that you do to the best possible ability. And a lot of people kind of, if you're making a video or you're going out giving sweets, or if you're giving a presentation to someone, always do it to the best possible ability, because that reflects on your brand. So it doesn't matter whatever we do. If we send a box of sweets to I don't know, magazines or wherever we're sending it to, or to press or to media and things like that, normally people just send the sweets over. We always at Candy Kittens, and this is down to Ed, make sure that it's done in such a different way that it gets noticed. You always get that cliche thing, how do you get your CV noticed?
Yes.
What do you do to get your CV noticed? Because you've got a massive pile of CVs. You have to do something impeccably imaginative to get seen, right? And that's the same with your brand. Always think, what can I do better than everyone else to make my brand be seen? So always think down to the fine detail of what you can do to make it better. I think that is so important.
100%. Show
And
up.
everybody you're speaking to, we kind of try and enter it in the mindset of they don't want to speak to us.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much true.
Yeah.
It's quite negative,
Yeah.
but it's kind of true. So if I'm trying to call you and you're the buyer at Tesco, the last person you want to speak to that day is me. So I've accepted that. So then when you tell me to piss off, I'm not getting hurt, I'm ready for the rejection, I've got my answer ready.
It's not personal at you, I just want to speak to anybody.
And I get the impression that so many people kind of fill themselves up with their great idea and they're ready and this is going to be brilliant and Tesco are going to love it, and then they get there and Tesco tell them to piss off, and then it's like
flat, done.
air out of their cells and they go home.
Yeah.
Where for us, we were ready for those doors to be slammed back in our face and ready to come at them again and again and again.
And I think that's so key, and me being especially the most kind of optimistic person, well, I'm always constantly thinking this is going to be it. And then when I was let down, it was a big loss and it was a big kind of like low moment. And so, as I said, that is so key. Your idea, you may think it's the best thing in the entire world, but you have to then put it to other people. But also you have to remember is that these buyers, these consumers, whoever they are that you are selling your brand to, they are, potentially have had a bad day or something's happened in their lives or whatever it is. So you have to put yourself in their shoes and make what would make you excited, what would make you happy, what would make you want to look at this brand, and that's what you kind of got to replicate. Always think what you would want, what would excite you, and try and do that. Don't just shove something in their faces, do something different about it.
Yeah, 100%. So essentially what we're saying is, or what you guys are saying is, be different, show up, and continue to show up over and over again, even when people are like, no. Because what's that? There's a quote, I'm going to butcher this now. Every no is you're one step closer, or you're one no away from a yes, or whatever it is. Like every no you get, you're going to get a yes eventually.
Well, it's that Denzel Washington thing where he says, get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. I mean, you can't see persistency. Just be persistent. The people who fail the most are the people who give up, and it's that whole kind of thing where, you know, if you're not persistent, if you're going to give up, then you're never going to make it.
Yeah.
And failure, and I always say this, failure is the most exciting thing about starting a business or starting a brand. The prospect of failure is what drives you forward, and if you were never going to fail, every single person would do it.
Yeah.
The reason why lots of people don't do it, why businesses fail the whole time, you know, what is it? Over statistically, over 100% of businesses fail, right? Yeah. But the reason why they fail is because they always think they're going to succeed. You know, be fearful that you are going to fail, but be excited about that you potentially might fail, and that pushes you forward.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. Yeah.
Have fun doing it. Okay, so some key lessons there in persistence, in making sure that, like, it just comes down to continually picking up the phone, showing up differently. How can you show up? You know, don't be the same CV in that pile. Be something different. Stand out. Be different. Do something different. Show up differently. Right. So I want to just quickly go back to the, like you said, London Fashion Week and the other events, and kind of the quote unquote guerrilla style marketing where you're kind of going, right, we've got no budget. How do we show up? How do we do something different? How do we get in there? And you know, tying in with current events is huge, right? And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you look at your business, when you guys are looking at your business and going, how do I tie in with current events? It's how did you go London Fashion Week, we want to tie in with that event? How did you make that decision to go, we want to do something around that?
So for us, one of the big, we have 4 kind of brand pillars. So those pillars for us are things that are important to our brand. So I might not remember them.
It's so important.
So fashion is one of these pillars.
Okay.
So if you're talking about where do we want to tie in as a brand, fashion's one of them. So we want to be associated with all of the fashion events. We want people to see Candy Kittens as the fashionable sweet of choice.
And is this because you know who your target market is, or is this just because you guys were like, well, that's going to be one of them?
It's probably, to start with, something we just thought we wanted to do.
Okay.
And then secondly, that became our target market. If we wanted it that badly, we kind of played that audience. But it was really because there was a niche in the market. We didn't think there were any sweets that were catering to a fashionable crowd.
Yeah.
Haribo wasn't cool, Starburst weren't cool. But actually, you'll put a bag of Candy Kittens in your handbag, you'll Instagram them.
Yeah.
It's something to kind of brag about and give
sure.
people that kind of one-upmanship. My sweets are better than yours. So that is what we were trying to achieve. So associating with as many fashion events as possible to try and get that positive link in the consumer's mind is what we did that. But I think it depends on, there's so many different ways you can do that. It really depends on the product and kind of what your brand is about. But if you're selling a football product, then you should be outside football matches talking to crowds that are going to the game. Or if you're selling a golf product, you should be targeting locker rooms at golf clubs. Whatever it might be, it's all about finding where your audience is and speaking to them in their language and in a time where they're thinking about your product.
And that's so interesting. And what I think is so key for people, and we were told this, we had an amazing talk from a guy who came in and spoke to us about branding and understanding your consumer. And I think as a brand or as a company, what you should always do is you should completely understand who you're selling to, who the person is. And what we do at Candy Kittens, what a lot of people do, is you create a person. So the person that we created is someone called Katie Clapham. And every single week, we at Candy Kittens, we will find out what Katie Clapham is liking, what she's eating, what event she's going to, what she's wearing, all those kind of things. So we know straight away every single week what our consumer is doing. And if you create that person, whoever it might be, if you're selling golf clubs, it could be Rory McIlroy, and whatever you want to call that person. Yeah. But you know exactly what you're selling to each week, so you know exactly what you need to do in order to place your product in those. So for Katie, it was Fashion Week, so Katie would be going to Fashion Week. Therefore, we need to be at Fashion Week because that's where our consumer is.
And the content you put out is around that process, right? You're talking about Fashion Week. It's the conversation. You're entering the conversation.
Katie is watching. What's Katie doing this week? She's probably watching Stranger Things. She's probably reading this certain book. She's probably watching this film at the cinema. That is the kind of things we're talking about all the time in the office to try and get into their mind.
Weirdly, Katie Clapham then came and interned here. She's now married a guy I know.
Really? Yeah. She's in Australia.
Yeah. She's married a guy I know.
But that brings up a point. Like, you're creating this quote unquote fictional character who you're talking to, but they should be like, genuinely, you should be like, I'm talking to Katie. She is real, and if she does walk in, you're like, that's her. You are literally our perfect market.
Yeah.
Completely.
And I think people really struggle with putting out, and this will kind of come back to you, what you guys are saying, like how actually, let me go back, how often do you talk about like, this is the sweet versus this is the conversation around something like London Fashion Week, and there happens to be a sweet involved. Like it's not just saying it's a blue sweet, it's Blue Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, a good 80% of what we do is about the brand.
Yeah.
It's about everything else other than the sweet.
Yeah.
I think.
Which is a huge point.
Well, what Ed interesting said to me the other day, he said he doesn't think that we're a confectionery company, we're actually a branding company.
Yeah.
And that's what we look at. And also, if you've ever watched that movie, which is about McDonald's,
Founder? Yeah.
Where McDonald's actually isn't a burger company, they're a real estate company.
Yeah.
And it's just about finding what you actually are. You know, the sweets are made for us. You know, we don't sit in the factory and we make the sweets ourselves. They're made for us, but what we do is we brand them in a certain way. We are putting our sweets out there. We're making sure that our sweets are the best quality we can possibly make them, but we don't have control over making them in a sense. A factory does. But what we do have control over is what exactly our packaging and everything's going to be and what we
100%.
do with it. So we are, in a sense, a branding company rather than a confectionery company.
100% media company.
Definitely.
Like,
And I mean, the sweet, obviously we wouldn't exist without a really good product at the core.
Yep.
But that's what it is. It's just the core. It's just the foundation, and everything else we build on top of that.
But then what is so interesting is that we definitely, Candy Kittens, believe that our product has to be the best,
Of course.
ever. But if you look at something like Pret-a-Manger, or you look at things like Eat or something like that, their sandwiches, their salads, their things aren't the best at all. But not the best. But what they are is they're amazing at branding and amazing at positioning and those kind of things. And what they've done is they're one of the companies that you go, well, their branding and stuff like that, and their kind of vision and their kind of placing is 100%, but their product actually isn't as good. So just about finding what you want to do with your brand, you know.
100%.
Branding is literally everything, we think. It's so important.
I agree, and I think and part of branding comes back down to knowing who you're talking to, and I think a lot of people struggle with content because they're trying to think, how do I target the 50-year-old woman and how do I target the 24-year-old guy in the same thing? And you can't. Like, they're speaking literally speaking different languages. They're speaking they're thinking in different ways. They're going to different events. That you can't speak to them in one go.
No.
And I imagine if you tried and talked to, so Katie Clapham is your ideal target market. If you tried and marketed to a 60-year-old guy, it would probably go horribly wrong in terms of right? So I think people have got to get really specific with who they're targeting, who their Katie Clapham is.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge tip. Like that's if anyone just went away and just did that and then started speaking to that person, that would be huge.
Well, it just simplifies your understanding, right? Well, as soon as you know, and also it took us a while to find out who we were selling to. We didn't know the name, we didn't know a person, but as soon as you go in your head, right, who are we actually selling to? And also you can't be afraid, because when we spoke to this guy spoke to us about, you should find who your consumer is. He said a lot of companies in this world actually don't know who they are selling to. They actually go, actually I don't really know. So don't be afraid. But once you have that person, it simplifies everything, because you can go, well, what are they doing today? Well, they would be doing this and this and this, and so therefore you know straight away what you need to do. Yeah. But it's just about knowing your demographic and knowing who your consumer is.
Yeah, 100%. I also think it makes it much less intimidating, because if you are trying to target everyone, right? Currently, you've got the Six Nations going on. I think you've got cricket going on somewhere. Like you've got 35,000 different events going on, and actually, if you're trying to target everybody, entering the conversation of all of those is impossible.
Yeah.
Find one or two events, and you can enter those conversations quite easily.
Yeah.
But also, what Ed said to me interesting the other day, and actually, it's what Gary Vaynerchuk I think said, and you picked up on it. When you're, you're selling a product, whatever, you want to sell it to millions and millions of people straight away.
Of course.
A million people, you've got to do it. It's impossible to do that. Unicorns, I mean, it just happens once in a decade, okay? It's the same with like viral content. You do a video, you do whatever, and you want a million people to watch it. It doesn't happen. It's very rare that happens. But it doesn't matter if one person or 100 people are watching your thing, or one person or 100 people are buying your product. It still means that one more person is buying your product. One more person is talking about it. One more person knows it. So don't go throw your net out hoping to collect everyone. Just focus on individual groups, and then you'll slowly grow, because word of mouth, it just does that, naturally, right, organically. So don't go for that viral content straight away. Don't worry about that. If one person's watching, it's one more people watching your product or your brand.
And all it takes is one of your dream customers or your dream vendors or whatever, right? Imagine just like the buyer from Tesco just happened he happened to be the only person that watched your video, and he was like, freaking love it. That's like, you don't know who's watching, and that's one person. Yeah. You don't know who's watching, and I think, you know, so many people stop right at the point where you're like, next 2, 3, 4 videos, someone could have seen it and been like, that's it, I'm going to go buy the product.
And again, that goes back to persistency. Just be persistent in whatever you're doing. Don't give up. The people who fail are the people who give up.
Yeah.
And it's tricky, you know. Just keep going. And also, what is it? I saw this thing with Airbnb. Which I think I listened to it. How have you built this? Or I think it was that one, where they said, which is so interesting. He said, you know, the reason why businesses succeed is because you know something about your business that no one else knows. And that's sort of USP in a sense. With Airbnb, for example, they knew that strangers would stay in strangers' houses, but no one else believed it.
Yeah.
With Candy Kittens, we knew that there was a market for this kind of high-end gourmet candy, which was branded in a different way to everything else. We knew that. So find out what you know about your business that no one else knows, and really focus on that, I think.
Definitely. And I think I love that you talk about gourmet candy, because, and this is when we met a couple of months ago and I saw you guys speak, I was like, whether they realise it or not, what you've done is you've created that new market. Like, the sweet market has always been there, right? But you've then taken a segment of that market, which is, there's what's it called, like the red ocean versus the blue ocean. Like the red ocean is all bloody and like there's just tons of competition in there, and you just went, screw it, right, let's come out of there, let's create gourmet candy. You are literally the only people in that market right now, and that's why that will help with your level of success, because like everyone's like, oh, that's what I need.
Well, we hope. I mean, that was quite nice actually when you spotted that.
Yeah, thanks to Chris, we picked up on this. Now we discussed this the whole time. Yeah.
But it's actually true. We've been trying to get there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice bit of kind of gratification for the fact that, okay, now that's maybe becoming a thing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We're getting there now. Yeah. But trying to stand out from the crowd definitely is always what we've been trying to do. It's how can we differentiate ourselves and be something that isn't really sweets. We try not to behave like a sweets company.
Yeah.
If you start just behaving like everybody else, then you're competing against them. And we can't compete against Haribo on Haribo's level. We've got to do something completely new. So yeah, gourmet sweets is definitely a nice one for us.
And what is so interesting about that is, I mean, I'm just literally about to repeat exactly what you said, so forget it.
Really, just like repeating stuff to make sure that you guys get it is key. So are you guys happy talking numbers about the business? Are you? Yeah. So I mean, like, the business was like, as you said, didn't sell confectionery for 2.5 years, whatever it was, at zero. And then because you're going into against companies like Haribo, right? Mm-hmm. Just the ridiculous amount of revenue they have behind them to grow a sweet business, and like, there's people out there going, well, I want to enter market X or Y, whatever it is, and they're like, but I'm competing with Nike or I'm competing with whoever. Like, how like to even think about it is like stressful on its own. But they think, right, I've got a niche there, I've got something I can do that. So you went from zero. Right, to like, do you mind sharing numbers? Like, where are you at right now?
Yeah, it's interesting because actually we talk to quite a lot of people who say, I'm thinking about starting a business, and I think they pitch something like, I want to start my own trainer company. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I wouldn't fancy going against Adidas and Nike. And then actually I think about what we've done, and I'm like, well, actually that's exactly what we did. And I think if you believe in the product and have that confidence and single-mindedness, that's the key thing, that kind of single-minded approach where nobody can kind of waver you. Yeah. Jamie, do you want to say your M1 going to Leeds?
Yeah, it's so
Jamie's
true.
Analogies.
Yeah, I've got a few analogies. But it's so true. I went to, when I first started doing Made in Chelsea, I went to get an agent, and I wanted to go to the best agent in the whole of the UK. Obviously that's what I want to do. I had this vision. I always think whatever you do, you want to do it to the best ability. It doesn't never be second best. And also the other point, well then this is what I was going to go to, which I forgot, is that there's this sort of marketing saying that you either want to be first to the market with something, or you want to be second something, whatever it is. So I can't remember the saying, but it's you want to be first doing something, or if you aren't first doing it, you want to have a USP, so unique selling point, in order to be second to it, in a sense. So when I went and went for looking for an agent, reality stars were kind of looked badly upon, and they were doing a lot of stuff which wasn't what I wanted to do. I'd been given an amazing ticket into this amazing world of television, and I wanted to really succeed in it. So I thought, well, I have to get a very good agent, because no reality star is doing that. So I went to the best agents in the whole of the UK and said I needed advice. And they went, okay, and they invited me in for advice, and they were never going. They said at the end, look, Jamie, we can't sign you. You're Jamie from Made in Chelsea, we don't know who you are, we don't know what your talent is, you're a reality star. So, but I'll give you one piece of advice. If you're driving down the M1 going to Leeds, always head to Leeds. If you see the sign going to Manchester, don't veer off to Manchester because you'll get lost. Always know where you want to go. So in terms of a brand business, whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, Amazon, prime example, they always looked at customer service. And still to this day, their business plan is about customer service. Yes, they're doing so many different things, buying, supermarkets, but at the end of the day, it's all about customer service. So whatever you're doing, always know that you're driving to Leeds. Don't start going to wherever you want to go. Always end up going to Leeds.
So we got too excited, the camera stopped, mid-flow as well, like it's just cutting out. Can you remember what you're talking about? Go.
So when you're driving to Leeds, always know that you're going to Leeds. Don't veer off to Manchester because you'll get lost. Know exactly what your brand is doing, where it's heading, where you want to end up. And that's what stuck with me my entire life. Doesn't matter whether it's Candy Kittens or it was with my own personal brand, Jamie Laing. It was always, I knew exactly where I wanted to go. And that means you don't get lost. You have a complete vision. You always pick and choose.
And I think that's what kept us going when we started with no sweets. You said we were a sweets company without sweets. It was kind of pretty crazy, but actually we always knew that the sweets were coming, and that's where we were going, and we were going to go big. We didn't ever sit around and go, okay, let's make a sweets product, and we maybe sell a few to the local farm shop, and we can maybe sell some to this corner shop and this cafe. We said, okay, we're going to make these sweets, and we're going to sell them to Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Waitrose.
Right.
And that was the vision, and that was the plan. So we went from nothing to with no sweets, sold a couple of branded things to kind of make some money and fund that expansion. And then the next thing, we've now sold, I think, somewhere over 6 million bags of sweets.
Amazing.
And
congrats.
When we first started, that's not a brag or a show off.
Okay.
It's when we first started, we had to make 50,000 units per flavour.
Yeah.
And we were like, shit,
that's a lot.
50,000 bags of sweets. I know 5 people.
Yeah.
That's like, how are we going to do that? But then actually,
mum, dad,
my mum said to buy 10. But then actually, when you start to break it down, you start selling in these big scale retailers.
Yeah.
The numbers become a lot more manageable, and you can quite quickly work through that. So to now go from 50,000 bags, which we were kind of bricking it about, to selling 6 million. It just still blows my mind a little bit, but that's always was the vision, and that's where we can go.
So talk to me about that, because again, there's going to be loads of people sat there going, crap, I'm in that position right now. I'm that trainer company and I've got to buy 20,000 pairs of trainers. Like, what was your plan? What, like, if you had one or not, like, or how did you do it? That first 50,000, 100,000 units that you bought, how did you sell those? What was your plan?
I think you've got to break it down and make it manageable in whatever language or numbers make sense to you. So, like Jamie was saying, if you're going to start a YouTube video, don't expect to get 1 million views. Aim for the first 10 and the next 10. Then you get 100, then you aim for 500, and build it up. And I think that for us, it was all about introducing the sweets to the right people in the right places, and letting that kind of word of mouth marketing do its thing.
And was it always the plan going into Tesco's, going into the big sort of supermarkets and stuff, or did you ever, or do you sell via
definitely.
online?
I think the big thing, we knew immediately, as soon as we knew that we had to make 50,000 bags per flavour, we knew we needed to sell a lot.
Yeah.
Where can you sell a lot of food? Supermarkets.
Yeah.
So if you get that scale, our first customer was Waitrose.
Nice.
Well, actually, no, I'll tell a lie. Our first customer was Harvey Nichols.
Harvey Nichols, yeah.
And Harvey Nichols came to us when we had no sweets and said, we want to launch your products this Christmas. This was in September. There's no way we were going to make the sweets we have now in time for that. So we went to meet them and said, look, we haven't got any sweets, but we would love to do something with you. Harvey Nichols have 12 stores around the UK.
Yeah.
So it was quite a big scale for us at the time, having sold to nobody.
Yep.
And obviously Harvey Nichols are like one of the big retailers that you grow up hearing about.
For sure.
So they said we wanted to do something, so we kind of quickly scrambled some ideas together, worked out how we could make sweets quickly in the UK, which is basically stick of rock.
We made stick of rocks in jars.
So we made some stick of rock, cut it up into chunks, put it in nice jars with the Candy Kittens logo on, and they bought something like £100,000 worth in that first go.
Amazing.
But it was literally a case of going in there completely honest and kind of open, saying, look, we haven't got any sweets. We can make them for you, but we're going to need to make this many. So if you're going to buy them, you need to commit to the whole lot because nobody else wants to buy these. And I guess we got lucky, definitely, to a certain extent, to work with a really, really amazing buyer who was like held our hand through the whole thing and was super supportive. And she said, yeah, well, let's go for it. And it worked. And that was our first customer. And I think that we then realised that you can get that big scale and big numbers are possible with people that think in a different level to us.
100%.
And when you start talking to people like Waitrose, which is our first supermarket, then the numbers become really achievable.
Yeah.
And I think it was about focusing on those big customers. If you've got a big volume business, focus on someone that's going to give you the volume. Don't waste your time talking to the farm shop and the deli and the local news agent, because they're all going to buy one case each.
Yeah.
Go big or not at all.
Go home.
But that's also the other case, and also I really believe in what we always did is it's about the relationships that you have with whoever you're working with, and it doesn't matter. This is a very competitive world, but what Ed has done very well and what I've done very well is that we've always made great relationships with people who are either buyers and things like that. Doesn't matter if it's Harvey Nichols thing. Always made great relationships with them, but also other people around, like you, Chris. You know, we made a great relationship, or you know, we make great relationships with all these sort of different shows we go to. It's great to do that because then you share information. 100%. And this world is a dog world, so you know, be kind to one another and help each other in every way you can, because that sort of karma will come back. But also stay true to your brand. I think that's what we always did. Stay true to your brand. We were always a gourmet sweet. And we were offered a lot of opportunities that weren't right for our brand, but it would have given us money, but it wasn't right for our brand, so we didn't take it. And there's this big misconception that, you know, I'm heir to this whole kind of thing and I had millions and millions and millions. It's not true at all. We started on a shoestring budget as well. We sold t-shirts, that made us money. We then went and bought sweets, and that's how we did it. We built up. We were lucky we had social media when it was blowing up at the time.
100%.
But it was an opportunity that we grabbed. Again, those opportunities that you see, make sure you pick them up. But also there's an analogy, which again I always say, which is business is paid in two currencies, cash and experience. Take the experience first, and the cash will come later. Experience everything you possibly can. Don't just go and do it because it's going to give you money, because at the end of the day you will fail. You're not staying true to your brand. Experience all the things that you possibly can, working with different buyers, talking to buyers, doing all these kind of things that Ed went out and did, and you know, and met all these people. He experienced so much, because at the end of the day then the cash will come. It's just about staying true to who you actually are. I think that's really important with a brand.
100%. Yeah, that's deep. Like take that on board. And you know, it's that whole, you've spoken about this, like, you guys, when it's very easy when talking to people, it's very easy. People will be watching this going, oh, they just made it sound so easy, right? And we know, like, talking about it now, you're like, well, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this, and at the time it was like, kind of order 50,000 units. Like, we don't even have sweets to sell. Like, you're going through, like, the fear is there. It's just, it's much more comfortable to talk about it now than it was 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. So. The other thing that I really like that you said was you documented the process, right? Before you had the sweets, you got people involved in the journey, in that process. How did you do that? Was it like video? Was it like when you just talking to people? How were you getting people involved in that journey about, here we are, we will have sweets, and keeping them involved? What was the...
I think what we did was we... from my side, it's again about finding the opportunity to do it. From our side, we had a social media following because of a television show and things like that. And we honestly created a ghost. We created the brand name Candy Kittens, and we had nothing. We didn't have anything. But we constantly spoke about it. We constantly talked about it to our friends and family. We constantly said, this is what we're doing. And if you create hype, people get excited about it. It doesn't matter. There's that, I think Red Bull. I think it was Red Bull, this is what happened with them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. What Red Bull did when it was first made, the guy who created Red Bull didn't have enough money to buy the actual product, but he had the cans. And he went around to a student union and wrapped all the vending machines in Red Bull wrapping and put empty cans around the place. And it said sold out across it. So everyone's like, well, what is this product that's being sold out? He had nothing. And then he created this hype. Ooh.
You can come in if you want.
Yeah, you can go.
Are you booked again?
Hello.
Hello.
11. Yeah, 11. Sorry.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll jump out.
We'll jump out.
We can go somewhere else.
That's fine.
So he created this hype, put this empty cans around the place, and then someone like, what is it? Then he filled it back up with the product, so everyone just was excited about it. Create some sort of hype. Create something. Be enthusiastic about your brand wherever you go. Wear t-shirts. Wear whatever you can. Always just promote your brand all the time. That's how you can create kind of this awareness for it, I really believe.
You are the brand.
Exactly, yeah.
You are the brand. Live the brand. Yeah. Getting there. Okay, we're going to pause for a second. Okay, so quick change of location. We've already just booted 2 people out the kitchen here. So just coming back into here, we'll go through a couple of other things. Just as we came through, they're talking about something that is so important for you guys to really like take heed of. So let's go, I can't even remember what we were talking about before, but let's go back. You were talking about like the positive negativity going on in the world right now and what people need to do. So just dive into that rant again.
Well, I think what's so interesting is about that positivity is such a key thing in this world, and you know, what happens is Most people you get negative comments the entire time because, especially in places like the UK, people don't really want to congratulate us on our success and congratulate you on what you're doing. They always straight away go to the negative, and it's a really bad thing. If you look at places like Japan or the USA, what they're amazing at is customer service because they pride themselves on what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they're working in the back end of anywhere, they still pride themselves on what they're doing. They're so positive and everyone around them is so positive. And I think that's so key. You as a brand, you as a person, you as a company are always going to get negative comments because especially where we live and people are straight away, they don't like to write positive things because they want to be negative about it. Why would they want to be positive? Straight away. It's very rare that happens. Restaurant stuff, yes, but as a brand, they don't really do it. So when you get that negative comment, when you get that kind of like put down, when people do put you in, because that is ultimately what is going to happen, don't feel negative about yourself, don't feel hard done by. Actually absorb that and take that as a sort of opportunity to push yourself forward, to keep going. When I first started doing Made in Chelsea, I was told never to read the comments on the Daily Mail, okay? And I kid you not, when my first article came out of me on the Daily Mail about me, and I was an insecure 22-year-old guy, and the first article came out and the comment was, saw Jamie Laing walking down the street and he really is a short, balding, ugly dwarf. And I thought, yes,
strong.
Yeah. And it's really, no one ever wants to write anything positive, they never do. But take that negative and turn it into a positive. And do that in life. It's just about trying to be as positive as you possibly can towards other people as well. Because, as we were saying, if you help other people out, the karma will come back and they'll help you out, without a doubt. And that will, at some point in your life, will become helpful. Whatever you do to someone, the positivity will come back at some point.
100%. I think the key is. Yeah, like, do we follow that up? How do we do that?
Didn't lie down.
Yeah, I know. So I think like the real key is that people will always try and bring you down.
Sure.
Like they're always going to be there to be like, that's rubbish, because it's easier to bring you down than it is for me to up my game.
Completely.
Right? So it's easier to bring you back down to my level than me step up. That makes sense?
That's complete. And also, from our side, when we started a sweet business, firstly, Ed and I were 21 and 22. We had no idea what we were doing. Every single person out there who had started a business, who had started a brand, who had sold something, told us this is the way you should do it. This is how you should do it. And Ed and I were kind of like, well, we don't really know if that's right. And actually, sometimes not knowing that much about the thing that you're doing is actually a good thing. The best business plan, I was always told, is not having a business plan, weirdly. It's like, I'm trying to explain this in a certain way. If you're going to if you're going to remake the movie of The Mask, we've all seen The Mask with Jim Carrey in it.
Brilliant.
Amazing performance, right? If you go and watch The Mask and you're going to play The Mask, it's very hard not to play what Jim Carrey played.
Yeah.
As it takes a very sort of warped mind, a very strange mind to kind of change that. So if you were starting something, take advice when it's needed, but actually follow what you actually believe. Because at the end of the day, if you believe in it, normally it's right. It's the same as exams. I always told this thing, when you're doing an exam, the first answer that comes into your head is normally the right one.
Yeah.
So when you start to double think it, don't double think what you're doing because someone else is telling you differently. Follow what you actually believe in. That's what we did at Candy Kittens. We were like, no, we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And even to the point where we're now with this new, we partner with this new sweet company who are one of the biggest in the entire world, and they still to this day didn't understand how we could sell sweets for £3.50 or whatever. They can't.
And they will still try. I mean, these guys are like the experts. They are the sort of creme de la creme. And even now, they give us bits of advice that we choose to ignore. Because we think, well, actually, that's why you can't sell a bag of sweets for £3 and we can. Because we know, back to what Jamie says, we know something about our business that you don't. And I think that's super important. It's definitely take all the advice you can, talk to as many people as possible in setting up a business. And you can never tell too many people about your idea, but actually know when to take the advice and when to leave it. Because some people will just be so set in their ways, they'll just try and kind of mould your idea into theirs. And then you haven't got your own idea anymore.
And also, it's so funny. You can. There are all the books in the world you can read. There are all the people you can talk to. There's all the kind of YouTube videos you can watch. But at the end of the day, it's your own instinct. It's your own kind of way that you want to do it. Follow that, because firstly, if you're trying to mould your business or your brand or whatever you're doing on someone else, it's not going to work. It never is. You're cheating. You're copying it. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is actually find out yourself. And this is what we always say: if you're going to start a business or a brand, if it fails, it doesn't matter. So many businesses out there fail, but what you learn from starting their business is honestly priceless. Candy Kittens to this day could still fail. It could go bankrupt. We have no idea. But what Ed and I have learnt from starting a business and over the 6 years is priceless.
100%.
You can then replicate that and put it in so many different things. So don't try and copy. Do it actually, from a fresh start, but take advice when it's needed. I think that's important. Yeah.
100%. And I just want to add to that, because you're saying don't copy, and yet I'm listening to what you guys are doing, and I'm like, shit, like I should be doing what they're doing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how do you? And I say copy is wrong, but model what you guys are doing.
There we go.
Look, you create that own niche for you, that space for you in the market. Go and tie in with current events. Show the process. Like, show everyone, get everyone involved in your brand. Do that, because that's going to help other people grow their business. It doesn't have to be the way you did it. It's just got to be, they've got to find.
Well, I think you kind of can copy, but you've got to copy bits and put your own slant on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, I don't know, people like Amazon is probably the most groundbreaking retailer of our time.
Yeah.
But actually, they copied the department store, but just put it online.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but that kind of thing. EasyJet just copied what other airlines are doing, but made it cheaper.
Yeah.
It's quite basic. A lot of these things are quite simple. Uber is an incredible company, but they were cabs and taxis around for a lot longer. They just made the process easier. So you got to copy the right bits and pick and choose from what works and what doesn't. And actually, the big thing for us is not copying other people in our space.
Yes.
So don't copy what Haribo are doing in their marketing.
Sure.
Don't copy what any another food or drink brand are doing. Copy how a perfume is launched, or how a handbag is launched, or a pair of sneakers is not.
Love that.
And then you're doing something different within sweets. So you can copy, but not directly and not the whole thing. I think you just pick and choose.
And it's so funny you say that. I remember I did when I was at school. We had these guys come in and talk to us about starting a business and stuff like that. And the one guy was talking about marketing, and I always thought, I want to go into marketing. That's what I want to do. And he said to me, oh, when I was at university, when I was at school, I used to pick up every single magazine, read it from front cover to back cover, and I was so. It's bullshit. I mean, like, he just tried to say what he had did. Be interested in what you're doing 100%. We will walk around with Ed, and I kid you not, this is what you do. It's not copying, but it's being aware of everything. We'll be walking around, and we'll be in supermarkets, wherever, and he'll look at different packaging of whether it's a shepherd's pie or whether it's a milk bottle. He'll take photos of it because he's interested. Use all the things around the place. You don't have to, if you're going into selling belts, you don't have to look at every single belt company in the entire world and see how they've done it. No, as Ed said, it's so true. Go and look at rollerblades.
Yeah.
How do they look at something different? Go and look at a different angle. That's what makes your brand, above and beyond, better than anyone else.
Stand out. Like
Stand
you said,
out.
how do you appear different to everybody else in the industry?
Completely. Yeah. Completely.
100%. I could talk to you guys for like days and days and days. So look, I just want to add one more thing. Right, when we're talking about the people that are around you that can bring you down, I think some of the key people to be looking out for are those closest to you, family and friends who genuinely have their best interests at looking out for you. Also, they say. And they'll say things like, I don't know if setting up a business at this time is the right thing. And they're genuinely doing it out of I'm looking out for you. But actually, that will stop you from launching your business, which could be the biggest thing that comes out in the next few years. So, I think just really pay attention to who's around. Make sure you've got positive people around you. Make sure you build those connections, like you're saying, building those relationships with everybody that you possibly can. Freaking go.
And also, I think to add on that, the reason why the Welsh rugby team has done so well in their history is because they're the best rugby team, it's because they're the best team in the entire world. They're close, they're a close-knit country that's about passion, about pride, all those kind of things. And I think that what's important is that, whatever you're setting up, whatever you're doing, you can have the best idea in the entire world, but the best idea doesn't mean you're going to succeed. What means you succeed is the best team. Whatever team you have, doesn't matter, friends or family or those kind of people will be negative, especially family. I had family members who said don't go and do it and didn't help us at all because they thought it was wrong. But surround yourself with the best team, because the team is the pillars that are going to keep you held up. When that wave comes in and hits, it's the pillars standing above there that's going to keep you above the water. So make sure you surround yourself with the best team.
And I think on that, yes, your parents, I'd imagine inevitably when you say you're going to start your own business, are going to say don't do it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, my dad's had his own business for my whole life, but when I said we were going to do this, he was, is it the right thing? I'm not too sure. Because he probably didn't want me to have the stresses and difficult times that he's had to go through. But I think as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you have to be a salesman first and foremost.
100%.
And if you can't sell your idea to your own family and convince them that it's a good idea for you to start it, then you got nowhere to go after that. So start by convincing the people closest to you and getting them on side. And once you've got that support, it can only take you further. And then they start talking to their friends, and the friends start talking to their friends, and before you know it, you've been introduced to somebody that's the manufacturer of a sweet company or whatever. And it's actually true. You only get there by talking to people. And so many people that I meet that are starting things, we speak to people all the time that say, oh, I'm starting this, what do you think? And you say, okay, well, what's the product? You go, well, I can't tell you yet because it's still secret and it's still in development.
I haven't patented it yet.
And you're like, well, do you honestly think that we've got any interest in launching our own cereal bar? Or whatever you might be thinking about doing. Just tell everybody about your product, because you're definitely not the first person to thought of it. We're not the first people to think of doing sweets.
No, of course not.
But we told every single person, but we are already ahead of them because we've kind of that further down the road that we can kind of act quicker and get to market quicker. So you just got to back yourself with that confidence and talk to every single person about it, because you never know what's going to come out of those conversations.
And I think it's just key, just to sort of finish with my rambling on it, is that when opportunities are around you the entire time. We've had, we can give you a prime example of our opportunities when I got a voicemail on my phone from a 13-year-old girl, talking about the fact that she loved her sweets and her father was CEO of a big supermarket. We thought it was a prank call, but we followed it up. She was speaking the truth. I mean, there are opportunities out there that will hit you in life. Make sure you don't, like Winston Churchill say, pick yourself up and walk around it. If you trip over that opportunity, make sure you notice the opportunity and grab it with both hands, because there will be an opportunity. It's just about figuring out what that opportunity is. So keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground. Is that the saying?
It is now.
It is now.
100%. I love that also did you say Wales rugby team a minute ago? Is that the example that you used?
Yeah,
are either of you like Welsh? Is that okay, right? I was like, Wales? We're going with that example?
It's their pride and their passion. Look at them in the World Cup football. They did so well because they're just such a team. And I think that's so important when it comes to a team, to be a real team. You're going to have arguments, you're going to have stresses. I was his nightmare for a good 3-4 years, probably still now. But it's just about working together and getting through that and realising you are a great team.
Amazing. Look, I'm going to have to wrap this up because we could actually talk for hours and hours and hours, and we might have to come back at some point and do like part 2, like a follow-up to this in like a year's time, see how you guys are going. So what I want to do is, first of all, where can people find you guys? Where can they find individually, Candy Kittens, whatever? Where can you drive them to? Talk away, go for it.
So Candy Kitten on social media is at Candy Kittens, pretty easy.
On all of them, Instagram, Facebook,
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I think we've got all those covered. You can contact us via our website, candykittens.co.uk.
Perfect.
All the email addresses and everything are all on there.
Great.
Jamie and I are always happy to answer any questions, always around for a chat.
Perfect. We'll put the links all below the video, so we'll have their social media links up. So just go down and click those.
Yeah.
And then before we go, I want both of you have dropped some bombs in there in terms of mindset stuff. But people watching, leave them with one last thing each: a tip, a say, whatever you want, something that these guys are going to go, yeah, got it, right, I'm going to go do it.
From my side, I think I'll say it again, but it's the biggest one that we sort of followed in our entire life, and it's about experience and understanding and not going straight towards the money. And the quote is, as I said before, business is paid in 2 currencies, cash and experience. Take the experience first and the cash will come later. Don't go into a business because you want to make money. Go into it because you're passionate about it and you love what you do. If you're focusing on the money, you're going to fail. That is the ultimate, 100%.
Awesome.
We talked a bit about persistency and just keeping going and having those doors slammed in your face time and time again. And I think for me, it just comes down to never, ever give up. Quite simple, but if you have that mindset and never give up and keep going and going and going and going and going, then at some point you're probably going to succeed.
Love that. You've done a lot of Winston Churchill today. There's Churchill quotes coming out everywhere. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me here. And we'll see you guys later. Woo. So just got back from the interview with Ed and Jamie at Candy Kittens, and it was just absolutely amazing. When you meet people that are just they just love what they do. When you meet people that just love what they do, the energy, the passion, the excitement that comes out. Could have spoken to them for hours about all things business and marketing, because they got some really cool ideas, some really cool stuff that they're doing, and hopefully you picked up loads of lessons from that interview. And I'd go back through and watch it again. Go back through and pick up the key points, because what do they talk about? We talked about showing the process, the fact that they were a company that they knew they were going to sell sweets, but they did what did they say, 2 years before they actually sold their first sweet. How crazy is that? They sold t-shirts to make money to then be able to go and get the sweets sorted, right? So there was always that clear path, not a clear path. There was always that clear intention of what they wanted to do. But it's how do we get there What's the journey that we need to go on to make sure that that happens? You know, getting people involved in the journey, right? Getting people to, you know, it's kind of doing like what people do now with, you know, what we've got with YouTube and all Facebook, etc. You show the behind the scenes, show the journey, get people involved in that. And then when it comes to selling it, they're like, yeah, give me some. I feel like I've been involved in the manufacturing process or design process or whatever it was, and they want to be a part of that. What else did they talk about? So they talked about marketing. I think they touched on pop-up shops and stuff they did. That might be a whole other topic for another time. Maybe we have to go do round 2 with that. What else did they talk about? Just the real persistence, and I think that was a huge message that entrepreneurs and business owners really need to make sure that they hear. You know, you've got to be persistent, you've got to keep going. You know, you're going to get told no so much, you've just got to keep going. And it's not a no to you, they're not saying you suck or your product sucks, they're just saying it's not for them yet. And you've just got to keep going, you've just got to keep moving forwards. I loved the bit they talked about show up differently. Show up like no one else, because that's huge. And when you see people set up businesses and you're like, what makes you stand out? They're actually the same as whoever it is down the road. Stand out, be different. Oh, and by the way, I got a goodie bag. I mean, it'd be rude not to dive into the goodie bag, right? Check this out, right? And look, and there are lessons. I'm going to show you this, right? And there's lessons in here, right? And again, I'm showing you the goodie bag for a reason, right? There's lessons in here, so pay attention to this, right? So, first of all, just what a cool bag, right? Got the branding on there, something they do, like something that was clear, like their branding is just like on point, like absolutely amazing. So nice bag. Look, this is a bag that people will genuinely carry around with them. Like they'll take the stuff out and then they'll use the bag on a day-to-day basis going to the shopping or whatever, right? Just branding all the time. So what have we got in here? Let's start with the obvious things, right? Like love the sweets, right? So we've got the sweets. This is the new branding actually. This is the one they were talking about. Really, really subtle. Look at this, right? When you turn it, which way for you guys there, you got C and the K, Candy Kittens there in the design there. I think that's really, really smart. And just overall, like really, you know, great packaging, great design, great branding, as I've already said. Oh, by the way, there was definitely an extra bag of sweets in here, but they got taken out the bag as soon as I walked through the front door, and they've already gone. What have we got? Sweet pineapple, Eton mess, sour blueberry. Sour blueberry, that might be the one they were talking about in the interview, right? Doing the Blue Mondays. Sour watermelon. In fact, let's open those in a minute. I'll have one of those. Sour watermelon. Oh, that's delicious. Let me lob those down there. Oh, another one. What one's that? Peach fizz. But right. Even just looking at this, right, look, going up, you know, you look at their target, who's their target market, right? They talked about, what was her name? Katie Clapham or something like that? Like, that aimed at that target market. Look at that, just absolutely brilliant. We've got, what have we got here? Just some flyers. What do the flyers do? Flyers have got the hashtag the sweet way all over it. Look at that. Good call to action in terms of, you know, their website. Good hashtag at Candy Kittens, shows you how to get in contact with them, which is great. What else we got? I mean, who doesn't love a free pen? That's excellent. Some notebooks. Again, this is all stuff that people will, you know, like leave around, use, put on their coffee table. There's something in here that's really, really cool that I just want to show you because this is brilliant, right? So look, I'm gonna put this down now. So here, look at this. So it's a newspaper. But it's their own newspaper. I don't know if you can you see that? So Candy News, Candy Kittens, right? And this is the winter edition, 17-18. So look, oh my God, they're veggie, right? Headline, big headline, and look, part of the reason that this is so good, right? This newspaper introduces people to their brand. How am I going to show you this, right? So you've got Ed and Jamie on the front here. You know, we're Candy Kittens and we believe that life's too short for boring sweets. It shows you the journey, so people can, you know, they understand the journey, they feel like they know the brand, they feel like they know the journey they've been on. What else have we got on here? And by the way, and this is, again, I'm showing you this, you should be looking at this going, how can I do that? Because there's ways that you could, it doesn't have to be a newspaper, like there's ways that you can do this in your business. So they've showed the journey, what else have they done? Look, they got some information on the sweets. They've got the whole range in here, look at that, advertising. You get to meet the team, so you get to meet everyone else in the office, 60 seconds with one of the team, and then the back is what this is what I really enjoy. Look, this is user-generated content off their Instagram, I'm guessing. but you can see the different people have posted different things. Might be a team photo, and then right. I always talk about everything that you have should have like a call to action, or an obvious call to action, right? A clear call to action. What do you want people to do when they're reading your marketing material, when they're involved in like whatever they're doing? What do you want people to do? Give them a reason to buy. Give them a reason to reach out to you. Give them a reason, right? And just look at this, like stands out, huge, like bottom third of the page voucher, £1 off any bag available at whatever store, right? Find, and it even said if you don't know where they sell them, find them by going to their website. Like it's just such a clear call to action, just like brilliant. And you know what most people do? They put these things in small at the bottom, like just so clear. Cut that out, take it to the nearest retailer and get £1 off a bag. They know that that will generate a new customer. Ask yourself, how could you do something like this within your business? So that was the goodie bag, and I just want to say a huge thank you to Ed and Jamie for having me at the Candy Kittens HQ. Had an amazing morning, really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to their next stage. You guys pay attention to what they're doing. They're doing some amazing stuff from a marketing and branding perspective. That's all from me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. Leave me a comment below telling me your 1, 2, or maybe even 3 key takeaways from the interview. Make sure you share it with people that are going to enjoy it too. And finally, hit subscribe. Make sure you never miss a video, never miss an interview, never miss a tutorial as well. That's it. See you later.